Hi everybody, welcome back. This is Unit 4, Lesson 8, I think. And this is the last lesson of nuclear chemistry. And so what we have to talk about in this lesson are some specific radioactive isotopes and then what they're used for. Some of them are used in medicine, some of them are used in archaeology, some of them are used in nuclear weaponry. And some of them are used in the food industry. So we'll list each isotope and their use, and I'll give you a little background knowledge of them. Let's talk about medical isotopes first. For something that I would inject into you, if I'm going to inject you with radiation, any medical isotope, I want it to have a short half-life. Because the longer the half-life, the longer it stays radioactive. So if I'm going to inject you with radiation, I want it to decay quickly so that you're not radioactive for a very long time. There are a couple specific isotopes that you should know about. The one that's most important is iodine-131. Iodine-131 is injected and used to diagnose thyroid disorders. We won't be using every one of these lines. So if you need to go on more than one line, you can. We talked about this, I know, in some of my classes. The thyroid gland is this gland here. It's shaped like a letter H as in Henry, and it's located over your throat, over your trachea. And you really can't feel your thyroid gland unless it's enlarged. Western New York has an abnormally high incidence or high occurrence of thyroid disorders. So what the thyroid gland does is make hormones that regulate your metabolism. It makes several different hormones that regulate your metabolism. And if you have an overactive, it takes iodine in order to make those hormones. So if you have an overactive thyroid gland, it'll take in too much iodine, make too many hormones, and you'll have a super high, crazy high metabolism. If you have an underactive thyroid, you won't take in as much iodine and you'll have an abnormally low metabolism. So this is what a normal, if I inject someone with a normal thyroid, I inject them with radioactive iodine and then I take a picture of their thyroid gland. The dark spots represent the radiation that appears. If you have an overactive thyroid, look at, if you notice this one would be an overactive thyroid here. You have a lot of dark spots. That means a lot of iodine went there. That means you're making too much of those hormones that regulate your metabolism. So iodine-131 is what we use to diagnose thyroid disorders. And you would actually go to the hospital and you'd get what's called a thyroid scan, where they would inject you with the radiation, then they tell you to go sit down, and you'd have to come back a certain time later while they waited for the radiation to go, the radioactive iodine to go through your bloodstream up to your thyroid gland. And they take pictures at different times. Another isotope that's used quite commonly in medicine is this isotope technetium. It's a man-made element, technetium-99. And I think it's a man-made element. I just want to check before I say that. Yes. And what technetium-99 is, is it diagnoses brain tumors. So it accumulates in the brain. And if you have a tumor, I'll just show you here, they would inject you with the radioactive technetium and wait a period of time for it to travel through your bloodstream up into your brain, and then they would do either a CAT scan or an MRI, and they would see if you have a tumor, you would get this large area of technetium accumulation in that tumor. So again, we use technetium-99 to diagnose brain tumors. Another common isotope is, for medical purposes, is cobalt-60. And cobalt-60 is actually the isotope that we use for cancer treatment, for radiation therapy if you have cancer. They will actually blast you with radiation with cobalt-60. Okay? So there are others, but those are the three isotopes that you have to know for medical treatment. For archaeological purposes, dating, determining the age of something, archaeological purposes. We use, obviously, carbon-14. It's used to date once living things. And uranium-238 is used to date rocks. So to find out, for example, how old the Earth might be in a particular area. So carbon-14 is for dating things that were once alive. Like, say, for example, we were in Siberia and we found the remains of a woolly mammoth. And we wanted to know how long ago it walked the earth or how long it's been dead. We could use carbon-14 to determine that. Uranium-238, again, is used to date rocks. So if you do a sample of the Earth's core and you get a rock and you want to know how long or how old that rock is, you can use uranium-238. Okay? Couple other isotopes. We have carbon-14 has another path or another role. It's used to as a tracer in organic reactions. So organic means carbon containing. For example, the way we know what we know about photosynthesis and how carbon dioxide is taken in through plants and it goes to the chloroplast and there it's converted into glucose is by using radioactive carbon and then taking pictures and following its path. So that's what a tracer means, is we actually follow the path of this chemical in reaction so we know how carbon is used. Okay? Cobalt-60 up there also has another role. Cobalt-60 is used in food irradiation. This is, I don't know, kind of interesting and somewhat cool. Spices, plants, vegetables, fruits, ground beef, pork, they can be irradiated. There's food irradiation facilities, and what they do is they treat the food with radiation. Now, it is said that the radiation does not alter the food, though it can destroy some minerals and vitamins just like cooking food can. The cobalt-60 does not make the food radioactive. It simply kills any microorganisms that might be living on the food. And so you can buy ground beef at Wegmans that's been irradiated and does not have any illnesses, any bacteria. So you could literally go in Wegmans, buy irradiated ground beef, and eat it raw, and you would not get sick. It extends the shelf life of food, so it's good in countries where food is in short supply. That way food's not being wasted. So cobalt-60 also for food irradiation. And finally, it's vitally important, uranium-235 is what's used in nuclear power. And unfortunately, though they are banned, nuclear weapons. So really it's the same reaction, whether it's nuclear power and it's for a good cause, or it's nuclear weapons, and I spelled weapons wrong, and for a bad cause. It's the same fission of U-235. Okay? So those are some uses of radioactive isotopes. You do have to memorize them, specific uses of the isotopes. Finally, we have to talk about the risks of radiation, and I think from our article on Alexander Litvinenko, you're aware of some of those risks. Radiation, if you're exposed to it, can deplete your bone marrow, your immune system, okay? You could lose your hair. You could get a radiation burn. You could change, it could mutate your DNA, not turn you into the Hulk, but mutate your DNA. It can lead to nausea. You can make you nauseous, N-A-U-S-E-O-U-S. It can lead to death. So obviously radiation and too much can be dangerous. But it also has its benefits, which obviously the medical benefits are one, the power is another, radiating food to have a longer shelf life so people don't die of starvation. So really when it comes to nuclear anything, it's about outweighing the pros with the cons, right? The costs with the benefits. All right, that's it for today, everybody. We will see you on Tuesday, and we'll finish that video on Chernobyl on Tuesday. Enjoy your long weekend. Bye-bye.